Hey everyone, we're a little delayed on another call, so I'm trying to get this streamed over to YouTube real quick because there's a lot of people that watch it on there. Um, I don't see is Eric on? If Eric's on, raise your hand because we got a lot of people. So I can add them to the thing. I don't know. I'm gonna give me one sec, guys, while I try to get this on Facebook here. Unable to log into Facecam. Okay, well. Then the guy's gonna let me stream to Facebook, unfortunately. So there's Eric. Okay. All right. All right, we'll just go without streaming.
Hey guys, sorry we're late.
Yeah, but you're later than I am.
Thought it was me again.
All right, let me make co-host. All right. For some reason it won't allow me to stream to Facebook, but that's okay. We'll just record and put it in the chat or put it in the post it later. So anyway,
hey Nick, add me as a host, please.
yeah, I think you are.
Okay, thank you.
Should be. Yeah, you are. Okay.
All right. Cool.
Awesome. Let's do this. Awesome. I'm gonna get rolling here. Good group. Oh, almost knocked the microphone out. Yeah, so I'm gonna try this one more time to YouTube, and then if you're on, I'm sorry, on Facebook, and if you're on Facebook, well, then you're out of luck because Facebook. Oh, hey, now it worked this time. There you have it. So let me share it. Do. All right, now we are on Facebook as well. Awesome. All right, thanks guys for joining. Got a couple of special announcements. Hey, LB, do me a favor, and if we had two deal or no deals that we were going to try to go through, or can you see if either one or both of them are on?
Yeah,
so that
they are here.
They are okay.
Yep.
So who is it? It's Darren, and who's the
Gilbert.
other one? And who?
Gilbert Rhodes.
Gilbert. So Darren and Gilbert, we'll do Darren first, then Gilbert. Okay. Make sure we're gonna take about 10 or 15 minutes to just give you some updates and go over some other stuff. Make sure that you guys are prepared to share your model and have all your documentation there. So make sure it's ready. So we're not waiting for you guys to get all that stuff up. So we'll do Darren and then we'll do Gilbert. All right. Awesome. Let's roll, man. I'm excited. So guys, some big news coming down the pike. I just wanted to share it with you guys on what we have going on. Eric and I have been we were doing this anyway before the market all shifted and changes, but now the time is extremely ripe for what we're doing now, what we do inside of Creative Dealmaker, and what you guys should be really focusing on. So what we're doing is we're coming up with a new or we're releasing Creative Dealmaker 2.0 on November 1st. Okay. So we have in this group that's on this call and in our community, we have different levels of participation. There's people that just come in and get value out of what we talk about, which is cool. That's why we do it. There's other people that have actually gone through the certification and the materials that have done that. That's great too. There's people that we're JVing with, that we're doing deals with, and there's other people that are just doing their own deals as well. So what's going to happen? I got my little board here. I'm sort of a whiteboard kind of guy. Today I am, at least. I'm going to talk about this. See if I can just hold this up. Try to figure out the camera. So guys, November. So starting in November, see if you can just see that. Okay?
Just read it.
I don't want to share the screen. Well, I want people to know what I'm talking about. So here we go. Starting in November, this will be our last call for the month of October as we get retooled and going forward. Starting November, the first Wednesday in November, and every Wednesday after, starting at 1 p.m. Eastern, we will be in our office hours live. So office hour, it's going to look a little bit different, mainly because of the time and what we're going to cover. But we'll start at 1 p.m. We'll do office hours live. for 30 to 40 minutes max. From there, we're going to go immediately into our group coaching. Okay. We're going to go into group coaching, and the group coaching was we're going to be on there for a couple of hours, and it's for the people that are in the coaching side of what we do. And if you're a paid member right now inside, and if you've already paid for the Creative Dealmaker Academy and you're in it, you're grandfathered into the group coaching. No additional charge on that. You get it already, it's already part of it. Starting the 1st of November, though, not only do you have to pay a monthly fee to be in it, you still also have to buy the digital product. So make sure that if you guys are thinking about this, you take advantage of it, because between now and the end of the month at midnight on October 31st, you will not, after that, you will not have the ability to get available to what it is. So where do they get? So people that are in it now or want to be in it, you guys post a link in there. I don't even know. Is it?
Yeah.
Because
We'll
what's
put it
going
in
to
the
happen,
link.
guys, inside of Creative Dealmaker, okay? And this is what's really important. You guys need to understand. We talk about this all the time. The base concept of what we do is we teach you how to do cash now, cash flow, cash later, infinite ROI, little to no cash, almost no risk. Okay. But the market has shifted so much. There's so many more opportunities to structure deals creatively that we want to share with you. We want to collaborate with you, but the only way we can do it is in a much more secured, private environment for the people that really want to do these deals. And it's not for everybody. Okay. We're also shifting over to a private intranet, and we're going to be shifting that communication inside a private community that you'll get access to as a paid member going forward. Okay. So
And real quick, Nick, to interrupt, on the reason we're doing this is because obviously our Facebook community is powerful. We have like 5,000 people in there. But what happens with Facebook is we'll send messages out and it won't get it. No, people aren't receiving the information. So Facebook's very they're happy about what they have going on, but then we aren't able to share the information and deals that we're doing and the communities and all that stuff. So that's why we're kind of moving over that. It's just a year's worth of Nick and I doing this program, and all the things that we've learned and where we're going is why we're doing this. It's just to benefit you guys.
Look, here's the thing: the deal structure. We're gonna, has anybody heard of a novation note agreement? And if you said yes, you're lying, because I made it up. Okay, but that's one of the things that we're gonna do. Maybe they call it something else, in a different version of it, but probably not, because one thing we know what we do is we create notes. That's what we do. Everything that happens on the front end is just a means to the end, which is the note creation, because we want to stay in to these deals and be a bank. Well, there's a lot of different ways that we can do that, but we can't share it to the masses because it's very complex. And we really want to reward the people that have taken the initiative and stood up and gone through the course material. Just like when we did the private masterclass a couple months ago, I said, guys, you got to go through the base product and to understand it. It isn't about the money. You got to know what it is to understand what we're going to talk about. You got to learn algebra 1 before you do algebra 2, before you go to pre-calculus, before you go to calculus. Okay. You got to go in that progression, and we're getting ready to teach advanced calculus. I'm telling you right now, and it's not for everybody, but here's the best part of what we do in the base side. There's really only 4 things that you have to do. You have to be able to find the deal. You have to be able to analyze it. You got to be able to fund it, and you got to find the buyer. That's it. Even on the advanced strategies, that's all that you have to do. And we'll help structure the back end of the deal so you guys can stay in it there. So,
but some of the advanced strategies, though, when you talk about the funding side, I mean, we just went through one. I mean, that's where the creative side of all the knowledge and expertise that Nick and I have, that we can get creative on some of these new structures with the environment they're in, when hedge funds aren't coming in and buying up everything. Now we have a lot of time to be able to really, really structure these deals in a good way for just massive benefit to the community. It's great.
Yeah. So hopefully you guys take advantage of it. If you don't, if you need to sit on the fence and wait.
So Nick, real quick, let me reiterate this. If you buy the digital product right now, between now and the end of the month, you're grandfathered into whatever we do. We have some other stuff that we're going to add to that we haven't even that is not in the digital product, that everything that you do now, you'll be get grandfathered in. So that I just wanted to be clear about that, which is amazing for what we're charging, for God's sakes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even want to know what the return on, but that's, look, we're doing it anyway. You either can come along
Yeah.
for the ride or not. It doesn't change what we do in any capacity from that perspective. So then inside of this is the other value that I want to share with you guys. So like I said, if you're paid, you're grandfathered in on this anyway. We're gonna, as soon as we get into November, we're gonna do in part of the office, the group coaching, we're gonna do a very intimate 4-part mini series on the 4 core fundamentals of what we need you to do, which is the finding of the deals in today's market, not yesterday's market, because the market's changed on all 4 of these. How you find deals has changed. We don't find deals the way we found deals 6 months ago. You can still find them that way, but that's not how. There's other opportunities to find deals that no one even considers in construction. Same with analyzing. We talked about, well, how do you analyze a novation note deal? How do you analyze a hybrid deal or a sub 3 deal or a seller carries subordinated, substitution of collateral deal, right? How do you, I mean, those are, most people don't even know what I'm talking about, right? But those are all, every one of those is, just keep adding zeros to the end of the number, because that's what you're going to get out of these deal structuring. The funding options, Eric talked about it. How do we fund these deals? You don't have to be, like, it could be a lot of different ways. And we want to talk about the traditional ways, but there's also non-traditional ways that allows us to do what we're going to do. And then the last thing is, which doesn't change too much, but some new tactics that we will discuss on how to find these buyers. Okay. So once you get to those 4, we'll do a 4-part series. We'll try to do them all within 5 weeks. We got to, depending on when we start it, we have a Thanksgiving week in there that we probably, I don't know that we'll finish before then or not. That's into it in addition to the Wednesday group coaching. We might do it in conjunction. We might do it separate. It just depends. But most likely, with the exception of finding deals, you'll have to be in the paid group, because you're going to have to know the core material to be able to take advantage of what we're talking about. Then at some point in Q2, don't know the exact dates yet, Eric and I were going to do a Creative Deal Maker live in person. Well, we'll do a 2 to 3 day in-person meetup. We don't know where it's going to be at. It's either going to be in either Phoenix, it'll either be in Austin or St. Louis. It'll definitely be one of those 3 locations, depending on what dates we're able to secure. Will determine where the location is.
All right,
Who's
hold on a
chiming in?
second. So St. Louis, Texas, or Arizona. So we'll probably eliminate St. Louis, and just my own personal opinion, but I don't know.
Right in the middle of the country, baby. Hey, are you not showing up if we do St. Louis? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying anything. That's good. No, hey, so I think someone said the link wasn't working. I think it is now. Oh, wait a minute.
What
Hold
link
on.
are you sending
I
them?
just the training link. It was working a minute ago, and now it's not. So
Well, we have the
we'll
video
keep-
link too. They can go and use that one.
no, I'll use the training one. This is the one we need to use, not that one. So I'll get it figured out. We'll work on it. So keep going. Sorry, just want to make
All right.
sure, because I
So
had
anyway,
it working and it's not working.
Well, we want, yeah, get it working so we can go. All right, cool. Any, we'll be making some further announcements regarding that. But that's it. So guys, thanks for being on the call. And so what I want to do today is I want to go through our general Q&A at the beginning, and answer any other questions, and then we're going to go through 2 deal analysis with the new model. So make sure, Gilbert and Darren, that you're using the new version of the model. It should say September 2022. So please make sure. We won't talk about any of the old models. Okay. So the first question is, hey, I got a question from Jake McKinney. So Jake, if you're on this call, I can't see, we got too many people. Raise your hand, because I want to bring you on to answer your question live based on what I'm reading here. So if he's here, we'll do an interaction with Jake. If not, I'll just do it on my own. So first question, can someone remind me the difference when originating selling notes on mobile manufacturer on their own land as opposed to a single family, even if not even like pre-1970, but newer builds. So the problem or challenge with mobile homes or manufactured homes, it has to be deeded to the land. It has to be considered one asset. Okay. A lot of times mobile homes get put on land and the land is separate than the mobile home. That's a
It's a
no-brainer.
mobile home park. Okay, so you go to a mobile home park and you got 200 of these boxes on top of the lots. That's not,
Well, you
you
can
don't
do
own
the
the
same thing.
land.
You can go drop a mobile home on your land, but if you don't
Yes.
deed it together, the value, there's no value. It's land value, right? Because the mobile home could drive away tomorrow unless it's concrete and footed to the land itself, right? It can't be on wheels.
But
Yeah.
but Nick, we just did a deal where we bought the note, and that wasn't the case, and we helped them fix it. It's fixable,
Oh,
and
no,
it's a
you can do it.
really
You
good
gotta,
value.
100%. Do
You just
not
got
do it.
we
Don't
know
try
what
to
to
sell the
do.
note.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
I don't even know, I mean, the value difference is probably 30%. I don't even know, because it's land value and no one, and to buy
Yeah.
notes with land value doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, it can definitely be done. Now, I will tell you this, manufactured homes that are part of land versus single family, you're still gonna have a little bit bigger discount because they're not just as
Mhm.
desirable as stick and brick, stick and brick type
But
house.
but
Okay.
what we found, and I personally have done, I've also got the bigger discount when I bought it. So it's still a wash. So you might get a
Well, let me
discount
ask,
on your
I
note.
think,
Yeah.
let's ask Tracy, if you're in here and you can just apples to apples, put it in the chat. If you, what you, because you're an experienced note buyer, what is the pricing difference between a manufactured home, anchored on land versus a single family brick house on a foundation, all
Now
things the same.
keep in mind, fully underwritten the Nick and Eric way.
Nothing changes except the asset itself and how it's on land, right? I'm just
Yeah,
curious
yeah,
to see
yeah.
what her position is on that, and it might not be any difference, but I think there's gonna be a little
Yeah.
bit. Okay,
Yeah.
so, that's that, uh. So it says, Sean said, I like your strategy on setting up your notes. One thing I have not got figured out yet is where the money comes from to originate the first original note. You have someone that walks through that on how it does it. So look, what we do, think of it like any other real estate transaction. Okay. If you're a wholesaler, what do? Find it, figure out if it's a deal or not. You don't really technically fund it because you're funding it with your buyer's money, right? But you got to find the buyer. Or if you're a fix and flipper, what do? You find the property, to make sure it's a deal or not. You go borrow money, then you sell it to a retail buyer that goes down
Or
the
pay
chain,
cash. Or pay cash. Yep.
whatever, and then they pay you off. So how you acquire it doesn't change, right? You can use private money, you can use hard money, you can use the seller carryback, you can do, evade it, you can do whatever you want to do. The difference is how you structure the back end. Okay. And that's one of the things that this is a good question, because when we get into starting in November, when we get into the private group stuff, this is exactly what we're going to talk about, because it's even easier to do these deals without money at all and have the seller be the seller in a position to be a quasi lender for a short period of time, to be able to structure exactly the way we want it, so we can exit out and get what we need on the back end. Okay. So that's there. So I don't think Jake's on here. I don't see his hand raised. So I'll just go to his question directly. So Jake said, I got a sub 2 deal that I bought in January. The seller is now trying to qualify for a new house and can't qualify because the house he sold to me is still on his DTI. Guys, this is everywhere. These deals are, once you understand what this strategy is, absolutely crush it. But let's go through this question. We never set up note servicing. Okay. Mistake number one. You have to set up note servicing. I mean, This is what happens. Look, let me tell you something. I wish Jake was on here. Jake is a seasoned real estate investor. He's done hundreds of transactions. What we're seeing here is that he's getting, you know, he's getting sort of burned by the situation because, you know, everything looks, it's like getting married, man. And no one ever plans on getting divorced when they get married, right? They just don't. But 50% of the population ends up divorced. So why does that happen? Well, because you're not forward thinking enough to prevent problems from happening. And he did a couple things that are really bad, in my opinion, that are really going to cost him in the long run. So he didn't have that. We never set up note servicing. Said it was partly his fault, partly seller. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. You need it set up for a couple different reasons. You want it set up so that you can control the payment, first of all, so that you make sure the underlying mortgage gets paid. Because the last thing you want to do is forget to do that. If you have a lot of these, it happens all the time. It says, he says, I've just been paying it directly through the Penny Mac portal. Guys, not best business practice. Let the servicer do that. Because if there's a change in the insurance, if there has to be an escrow analysis done, the servicer needs to do all that. Who's going to do all that? If you manage that note, are you going to do the escrow analysis and do all that crap? No. You want to just go do more deals. So let's continue on with this. The house they are trying to qualify is also twice as much more as the one they sold to me. So there's a way that he can structure a letter to the lender. I think the seller will get, probably depending on who the lender is, the original seller will get maybe a 75%. I know there's some people that probably know the answer to this. Okay, here, Natalia, I'm going to jump in. Where can I find a good servicing company? What I just said 2 minutes ago, 4 things you got to do: find the deal, fund the deal, analyze the deal, find the buyer. Doesn't say anything about servicing. That's what the transaction management company does for you. You know, if you want to go find your own servicer and do all this on your own, go right ahead. In the resource center, I think there's a whole link of different servicers on it. But I'm telling you, we've done this enough. Don't do this on your own if you're going to do any kind of volume whatsoever, because you will waste more energy. You know what that's like? And I'm not knocking on anybody. I'm just telling you from experience, because we've done it so many times. It's like driving across town 30 minutes to save a nickel on a gallon of gas. The only person I know on this planet that would do something that stupid is my dad. And he's a smart guy. And he goes, well, I'm retired. I got time. I wanted to go see the other side. No, I mean, I'm joking but you don't want to drive across the time because it's the opportunity cost associated with doing something else. Guys, let the experts do what they do best. You focus on the rest, which is getting the deals and structuring. Okay. So let me finish up on this. Sub to the DTI. So there are some things, there's a couple people in there. If anybody has done this before, I know there's a lot of sub 2 people in there. Throw it in the chat and tell us what in that situation, 2 years down the road, what can be done to sort of cure that problem. Obviously, it's better to cure it on the front side. And there's ways that we can do this. And one of the things that we would do typically is we're talking about doing this right now on a lease option, which is not the same as sub 2, but it's sort of the same in a way. If you were able to provide that buyer, the seller that you bought it from, even an extra $1 a month above what his payment is, it all automatically becomes an asset, not a liability. Huge value. Okay. Those are some of the things that we do. So it says, what about any programs that we would purchase a new house for them and sell it on seller financing terms? It's a $500K house they want to buy. Honestly, I don't know how the note was written. This gets back to what we talk about, why creating the note is so important. Because right now, if he would have done this, even if he had done this like this, but it wrote a first and a second note, he still could turn around and sell that note immediately for value, pay off the underlying debt, cure that problem away from that seller, the seller that he bought it from, and still be able to stay in the deal at some point down the road. Because now what's going to happen, unfortunately, this seller wants to go buy, the original seller wants to go buy a new house. And now he's probably going, what the hell? And you know what? The last fight I want to be in personally is being the fight of being a subject matter expert as an entity against the consumer. I don't care. I don't care if I'm right or not. I don't want to be in
That's
that fight.
that's why we create the first and second. There's nothing wrong, which we talk about creating a first and second and wrapping and doing sub two and all this, but there's risk involved and you just want to minimize your risk because look what we just went through this today, yesterday with one of our clients. He's like, well, I created the first lien at one lien, first lien, 7% interest because I got it at 3 or 4. And I says, well, what happens if the note gets called due? Not only are you gonna have to do a discount on the note you created, you're well, you're gonna have, if you created a first and took a 10% discount, it's better than creating a first and a second, taking a 10% discount or a 12% discount versus a one big first and taking a 25 to 30% or even a 40% discount because you created at a lesser amount that a traditional note buyer might want a 10% yield. So you created a 7 when you need a 10, but you created a first and then your investment to value is all jacked up. And
Guys,
you're coming
we
to
talk
the
about-
table as a consumer with a humongous, you gotta bring some money to the table. So there's risk. That's why
Well,
that's the $6 million secret. And the problem that
not a
Nick
secret.
and I
It's- I
talk
didn't, I
about.
told you the secret. It's a mistake, not a secret.
Oh, that's
Everybody
what I
knows
meant.
about the mistake.
Yeah.
But here's
yeah,
the
so.
problem.
No,
okay?
that's why I get so we get so animated about this because of what's going to happen in the future with all these people that did these sub two deals. They're going to have some challenges. That's all I can say.
And you know what? But guess what cures all problems most of the time in the situation that cash. So go pay Jake, go take $150,000 and go pay it off. Problem solved. But guess
Yep.
what happens? Most people don't have $150,000 to go do that. That's why that's not a good strategy. You got to have a different potential safety net and exit strategy. Because here's the deal. If we just talked about this, they wrote somebody just wrote that 7.5% mortgage. If they have to sell that in this situation, they're screwed because the discount's going to cost them. Because here you got to remember this, guys. This is really, really important. Everything we're doing on the front side, it may look like real estate, but it's really banking. Okay. Think about a traditional real estate transaction. You have a real estate transaction, okay, and you have a banking transaction, okay. What we're doing is merging the two together, but you got to think of it from the bank side of it because the bank is what gets the paid. And what I mean by that is that when you're a note buyer, and Eric and I are note buyers, and we do this and we teach this so you can write high quality notes that get you premium pricing so you can sell them and get maximum dollar. Guess who those buyers are? Well, we are, but guess who else is? Financial institutions, banks, family offices, private equity groups, hedge funds. They want this stuff. They don't want crappy stuff. They want stuff that they know they can put in their portfolio and get value for as long as it will stay there. That's why they do it. So if that's what they're going to do, and they're going to invest in something for 30 years, which is a stinking long time, right? What we have to understand is that they're buying, when they're going to make the offer to buy it, and we're in the same position, if we're going to buy it from you, we're looking at two things, okay? Number one, we're looking at is what the investment to value is. Okay. How much am I spending to buy that note? And what is my return on that investment? That's why we have it at 72% or less. Okay. Because that ratio in the model allows you to get maximum dollar value without having to give up such a big discount. You don't need to understand all this at a level. It's in the deal analyzer. That's why it's at 72%. That's why it's at 88% on the discount, because it's a non-performing note it's not non-performing, it's a new note that has no performance. And by that point, you don't know there's a risk there. So that's why we structure it this way. So when you use the model and you put the stuff in, it'll tell you if it's a deal or not. You guys, if you have the ability to go direct to seller, it's a smoking deal if you can fit it into that model. So anyway, I hope that answers some questions. Eric, do you want anything you want to add to that?
No, well, when you talk about investment to value, So we're doing a deal with one of our clients. The deal was he sold it for 150, but the value was 130. The true value was 130. So he was able to inflate the price, no big deal. But when a note buyer comes in, they're going to look at the 130, and then they're gonna discount that, or they're gonna write the offer accordingly. So
Well,
anyway,
that's
back
funny because
to
that's the next question here. There's another,
okay.
that sort of gets to the next
Well,
question.
real quick, because people are jumping on and off and whatever. The training link, it's kind of working. It works and then it doesn't work. So the link itself, the training link, does work. In the chat here. Let me just put it in here. I think it's our because we run off of Kartra. That's our deal. So it as of right now, for some reason it's not loading. But
Well, they're
just
ready to
keep
buy.
it,
Just give them
put-
the alternative link. It doesn't matter.
No, there isn't one. It's Kartra that's down. So just so you guys know, we'll fix it, utilize it, and we'll get it to you guys again, and we'll resend it to you. It looks like our Kartra's down. Not a big deal. So keep going. What's the next
All right.
question?
All right, next question is, just lost it here. Is this it? Oops.
You brought up the investment to value.
Yeah, so no, he was talking about, let me find the question. Give me a second. I gotta go. I changed windows and I just lost it. Give me 1 second here. So the next question was talking about, this is a good question because it ties into the note sales side of it. Okay. The question was, and it's a great question. And it says, I'll scroll all the way, 1,000 questions in here. I gotta go all the way to the bottom down. Question came from Michael and it says, I'm sorry, this one came from Alex. BPO versus sales price. It says usually owner finance homes are sold for a premium, often 5 to 7, 10% above retail. However, if you're going to use the BPO value and sell the first note, it shows the value to be lower than owner finance value. So what he's saying here is this. Let's just say that you sell a house for $220,000, okay, and you get your down payment, but the value is only 200. Okay, we want to use the $200,000 in the modeling to set the value. You can sell it for $400,000. Okay, because what we're set when a note investor is going to come in is going to look at investment, the value. They're looking at risk. This is a big problem that people, when they do owner financing, they don't take this in consideration. They want to know why they only get 62 cents on the dollar for the note, is because it's the risk that a note buyer is taking into consideration. I will tell you this, I've done this 1,000 times. The optimal point to get you maximum value without giving up the biggest discount is a first lien position not exceeding 75%. Okay. That's why we use 72%. Gives us a little bit of margin so that if
and because we're in a little bit of a declining market, so we're
it
in
has
correction.
nothing to do with that. Has nothing really to do with that piece of it. We'll talk about that in a second, because the note investor is looking at based on risk. Okay, so they're going to set the risk and the price based on what they think the value is, not what you think the value is. That's why we say now, to Eric's point, we don't know what values they're going to do. That's why once we get the buyer and it goes into underwriting, we highly recommend ordering either a BPO or an appraisal, because guess what? You can't. I don't care any note investor on the planet. They cannot dispute a certified, licensed appraiser's opinion. Not going to happen. You can't do it. Okay, a bank wouldn't do it. A bank's going to take that professional opinion. Well, and a note buyer is the same, right? But if you're telling me the value, and I'm looking at another value, and I'm the note buyer, I'm always going to take my value, because I don't trust your value because they're different. They both could be wrong, but they both cannot be right. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do. And so a note investor is going to look at risk and they're going to adjust it down. That's why we wanted. Up until 2 months ago, it didn't matter. It didn't matter because you could just sit there and twiddle your thumbs for 3 months and the value of the property would go up 10%. You know, that's not the case any longer. They still might go up in some places, but they can come down as well. That's why we want to lock in on the value proposition. That's why we lowered it down from 75 to 72, because I'd rather you put the difference in the form of the second lien that you don't discount. Because remember, you get to keep 100% of the second lien and 100% of the cash without discounting either one of those two.
That's
You
what
only
I
have to give
wanted
it-
to say. That's Nick. That's what I wanted to say, because when you create a first and second and it is 72%, and maybe there's a 10% discount there, you don't lose money. You just move it to the second lien. But here's what's happening right now, and this is why we're kind of revamping where we're at and where we're going with our new community. What we talked about is we're getting better deals. People are getting a little antsy. So whatever discount we're at now, you're making it up on the buy anyway. And then you pass that on, you create the first, you set at 72%, you get a little bit of a discount, and then just pass all the other money. So like I said before, we have a client right now, he's got a $150,000 house, but the true value is 130. He's willing to get a premium because he's providing seller financing. I mean, it's not a ton of premium, but he's getting a little bit extra, right? So he's still creating the first and second lien based off the 130 value, the first lien based off the 130 value. And then from there with the discount, he's just passing on the second lien because he's getting 20 grand down, or I think he's getting like 20 or 25,000 down. So he's going to still have a nice big fat second lien at 10% interest, and still provide value to the community by providing homeownership to them. So it's a win. It's a total win. And once it's done, when we talk about it, if you're new to the call, once you create the first and second, sell the first, keep the second, when we call little to no risk, when it's over and done and you've done this transaction in a 30 to 60 day process, the risk there is, like, put in the chat, how much risk do you have when you have no cost in a deal? I mean, other than the income, like, where's the risk, right? If you go and get if you do a BRRRR method where you actually buy it, fund it, refinance it, keep it first, borrow the money, and then create a lender. Now there's a lot more risk, right? So if you have a bunch of 30s and $40,000 second liens out there with no cost, and you're getting paid 10% on that, and then you can even get more creative, which we'll talk in the community, how to even get creative on that stuff. I mean, now how many of these can you do? I mean,
it just
be like,
it's
you
it
can go like,
keeps
be like
going
Nick
and going and
sit on
going.
you can be like Nick and go sit on a cruise ship for 2 weeks next week and not even lose any sleep about his cash flow coming in from his note investing business.
Maybe. Hey, so David asks, is 72% meaning that the first is 72% of the value and the second is 28? What it means is the first part is correct. 72% is the first lien value relative to as is value, true value, not the seller finance value. But the 28% is a combination of the down payment received when you sell it and the second note. Okay.
So can we just do the quick math? Let's just say the value is 130. You take 0.72. Okay. The first lien's 93, right? 93,000 minus, and if you get a 10% discount off of that, you're at 84. So that's kind of that'd be your cost basis.
You're only discounting the first lien. So even when
you
you
only
get
discount
a
the first lien, yeah.
So you need to add the other stuff back in because you're only giving the discount on the first part of it. So even though you think the discount is high, it's really not, because you're only discounting 3/4 of the deal, or 70% of it.
But Nick, so let's say you sell the house for 150,000, you get 20,000 down, okay, which is viable.
But hey,
now it's one.
So let's do this because we're going to actually do 2 deals, and we can visually show it to everybody. And go and cover exactly what that is. So
that's good. I get excited.
I know.
I'd rather see the spreadsheet.
Yeah, I says so. Last question. So you double check to make sure that we didn't miss any questions, and we'll go in the deal or no deal on these two with Darren and then Gilbert, and then we can circle back in after that.
Yep.
The last question I have on the sheet here is, it says, this is from Pat. It says, I know a local investor who bought a house subject to approximately 100K underlying mortgage, sold the house for 175. He is wanting to borrow 100K to pay off the underlying mortgage. Well, if he would have wrote a first and a second lien and would have sold the first lien, we would have already solved that problem. If he's already done it, I don't have an answer for you. Me personally, if you want to submit the note over to look at it and for us to buy it, we would maybe consider that. But the whole, what he just said is exactly what we're trying to prevent from happening. The same thing that happened with Jake, the same thing that happens with 85% of the universe out there that does seller financing and creates mortgages. They do it incorrectly. I'm not saying they do it illegally. They just don't do it. They don't do it the right way to get maximum value. That's what we want you guys to do, because when you guy, and I'll show it to you when they get in it. It's the face value of the note is one thing. The actual earning power of it is something else. So, Pat, if you're there, let me know if you want to talk to him. If you send in there, actually, Elvia, it talks in the submission process. I think it talks about how to submit a note. Okay. They don't tell you exactly what you need to do.
In the resources.
Yeah, I think
Yep.
no, yeah, I think it's in there. But Elvia, you can
It's-
take that actual document and send it back. All right, cool.
Hey, real quick. I want to answer this because David Straley said, what are you, when you're saying those, what are you saying? Those who buy using sub 2 will get their loans called by the bank. I'm not saying they will, but if they do, you want to be in a position, which we talked about, without having to come to the table. Because if you go sell it on terms to somebody and create a 30-year term and you only owe 25 left or 15 left, and there's a lot of notes out there that have been paid down for 10 years, which is an awesome strategy, by the way. There is risk. So if you create a first and second, and if you only created a first and it does get called due, and you have to sell it at a 10% yield, let's say, you might have to come to the table with a big check to solve that problem for the consumer, or have cash to pay it off. But what happens is you sold it on a wrap, and if that note gets called due, you're going to harm the consumer, which is not what we want to do. That's why we do that. That's why the sub 2 stuff is risky. That's why we don't talk about it as much on these calls, because we try to get in and out, cash now, cash flow, cash later, with little no risk by creating first and seconds. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah,
Let's go to the
there's
let's go
a
to the model.
thousand ways to make. There's 1,000 ways to make more cash flow.
Yep.
Than what we'd show, but you also have a lot more risk.
Yep.
Because when you structure it the way that we've done from the very beginning, the risk is zero because you've already paid off the debt. You have infinite ROI because you have no cost basis at the end. So that's just one way you can structure it. I highly recommend that if you don't have the ability to scratch a check or fix a problem, that you really consider that as a strategy. Take a little less on the profit, but it's almost like buying an insurance policy, because most people don't, pay a little bit a month for the insurance policy, so that when that $150,000 note gets called, you're insured and you have an exit way out. That's all that it is. Look, Eric and I do stuff, and we're going to talk about the other structures inside of the group coaching. That's exactly why we built it, so that we can take advantage of these kind of deals. But you have to be informed, and you have to be educated correctly, and you have to know the inherent risks and how to fix the risk. Because anybody can go out and buy a deal sub 2. That's not the problem. The problem is that what happens sometime in that 30-year period of time when something happens. Because let me tell you something right now, and ask me how I know this, because I've been doing this a lot longer than people that know about. The challenge is this: you have a distressed seller today. You're negotiating on a sub 2 deal. Most of the time, you're dealing with the distressed seller today. You're trying to help them out of a situation. Okay, what happens in 3 years ago when they're no longer distressed and they want to do something different, i.e., Jake McKinney and what he's dealing with? Okay, guess what? They have very selective memory. Sellers have very selective memory on what you did for them 3 years ago, and now they want to do something about it. And the last thing you want to do is get in a fight with those guys, because you will lose.
But you can also structure them in a way to make their selector memory work a lot better if they're making some income off the note that you wrap.
You know
too.
what?
So
Here's the way
there's
I
ways
look
around
at it. Here's the way I look
Yep.
at it personally. I'll just go do another goddamn deal.
Yep.
So what? If I can write it out for 3 years and I got to cure the problem, make it go away, and pay him off and be done with the deal, so be it. I'm okay with it. I'll just go do another deal, because there's always another deal. Okay.
Hey,
You don't want to have to
so the
manage the
call,
problem.
so call's going longer. Let's get to the models, because this is what everybody's on the call for. Not listen to us ramble for an hour.
No, this is all super important because
I know. I'm
they
just
asked the
kidding.
question, Eric. We got to answer the
I'm just
question
kidding.
because
Yep.
it's super important. They have to understand the complexity if they're going to do creative deal structuring, you have to understand the pros and the cons of doing it. No one wants to talk about the cons. I'm telling you what the cons are because I had to deal with the cons. And I'm saying if you have the ability to money 95% of the time will cure that problem. So just put yourself in a
100%.
position to pay it off.
Yes.
Right. So let's go to let's get Darren on. I'm gonna give Darren screen share. Why don't you spotlight Darren, get him on, and let's go
Okay.
through this deal. Awesome.
Darren, we will
Darren,
spotlight
are
you.
you nervous now to share this with the world?
What's up, Darren?
No, I'm okay.
You okay with it?
No, what market are you in?
Darren has been busy changing everything because he goes, oh crap, I forgot to do this. Oh shit, I should have done that. I'm just teasing.
Yes, because I originally had it on the 3.0
See?
version, and that
I don't
and
even know what that looks like.
while you were when you were doing the Q&A, I had to revamp it into 4.0 for you.
Awesome. All right, so you got screen share. Why don't you share your screen and let's walk through what
Okay.
you got and see what we can do to answer your questions.
Screen share. Okay. You see it?
Yeah, perfect.
Hey,
Okay.
real quick for everyone on the call, I just want to, we were talking with our Kartra, it's where our platform is housed. It's kind of intermittent. So just copy the link. If you guys want to go and buy it and get grandfathered in, just copy it and then give it a shot. It kind of loads. And so it's on our end, but we're working with them to fix it. So anyway, go ahead. Let's go through the
All right.
model.
All right, so what I want to share real quick. So guys, make sure you're using the new version. If you go to cashflowdealmachine.com, you can always download the most current version right now. But I want it right there in that top green box under it says deal inputs. There's a tutorial video right there. That's a 30-minute deep analysis on how to use this. We're not going to go through that today, but we're just going to go through it. So you got this property here. So you're going to acquire it for 160. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And do you you're not putting any rehab into it at all? Zero?
It doesn't look like it needs it. I have the pictures linked for you to sort
Yeah,
of
let's just look
to
at
go
it real
through.
quick. I think
You
it's
wanna look?
important
Okay.
for people to understand
No,
what
I think
not
that's
doing
a
rehab
big,
looks like.
a big portion.
Because rehab for some people are different rehab for others. And that's why I love to see the pictures. So people understand
If
the type of
I'm
seller
going too
finance
fast, let
houses
me
we
know.
sell.
No, you're good.
No,
You're
keep
good.
going.
Okay.
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
them real quick. Yeah, I've seen enough.
Okay.
There's no reason to rehab that house.
This is a
I mean, there's
Taj
some
Mahal,
obviously
man.
some exterior cosmetic stuff, but discounted accordingly. Is that the garage? Yeah, this is fine.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, is
Nice
it 250?
kitchen,
I don't
yeah.
know. If it's, I don't know. I'm not gonna. That's for you to determine the value because every market's different. You know, a house that looks like a POS in California might be a $900,000 house. Same house in Iowa might be $32,000. So we don't
Right.
want to get. I'm not going to do that. So let's assume that your calculation and evaluation is correct. And there's a lot of places you can go get values. You can get local realtors on the ground. You can
Mhm.
order a BPO if you need to for as is value, stuff like that, things along those lines. So let's scroll down. Okay, so you got $25,000 down. Okay, I
Yep.
think that's a good. I mean, that's fine. We can go a little bit less because of the repairs, but let's scroll
Okay.
down to the middle of the sheet. Keep going.
So you don't want to go over this at all? You're okay.
Well, let me see. We'll go down first and we'll go back out. Let me just see something
Okay.
real quick. Scroll
Okay.
down. I want to see the purple pink boxes there. Keep going. Okay. Yeah, 20, 24, 49, 642. Okay, good. Now go back to the top. So you've got 273, 257. That's good. The ZHVI is 353, 23% increase. That's over the last 12 months. Okay.
Yes.
Not sure what ZHVI is. Go to the tutorial video. It talks about it in there. Okay. And rent value 1750. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So let's see here. So yeah, that's fine. Do you think that's really the rent value?
That's what I got off Rent-A-Meter or Zillow. I can't remember
Is that
which
what it
one.
was? Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
so the payment cost is gonna be a little bit off, but that's okay. So let's look at that. Go down. It's on the right side in the peach over there. It's got a rent
Yeah.
gap analysis. So basically all this says, now this is not taking into considering taxes and insurance. Because remember, taxes, they get deduct that anyway, property tax, but that's beside. So in this situation, it's about a 200 and what is it, 13 or 243?
43.
$243 difference, okay? I think it's important to know what the gap is, because at some point in time, people will just choose the rent versus own, all right?
Mhm.
Is it $200 in this area? I don't know,
Mhm.
okay? But I would like it to see it closer to 0, but
Mhm.
it's not
But
not
hey,
1,200 either.
hey, Nick, real quick, because some people, so you look at the rent gap of 243, but keep in mind, you still got to add another, you still got to add tax and insurance to that. So you want to
Yeah,
make sure it's
that's
still in
fine.
the affordability factor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but look, I'm telling you right now, that doesn't mean we don't do this deal. I'm telling you right now.
Right.
Because
Right.
somebody will die to own this house and pay $245 more than rent if they can even find it. Okay. So don't think because that's that number, you can't find a buyer. Now, what you can do, or what maybe a better approach is, maybe you look for the end buyer first before you put any significant cash into closing on this property,
Mhm.
but
Yeah.
that's neither here nor there. All right, so let's go down. So right now, so you wrote this at a 72% first and an 88% second, which is the default. I feel extremely confident. When I say extremely confident, 90% confidence that if your numbers are accurate, you will have no problem getting that out of the out of the deal. Okay. Now
Mhm.
we don't know what the BPO is. We don't know what that you're actually going to sell it for this. Remember, this is a forecast first.
Right.
Okay, but it's a good starting point. So let's scroll down. So now we're in this purple area, this peach area, the pinkish area. So let's look at the first line in pink. It says 2476. Okay. So see where that 2476 is?
Yeah.
The next one up, go up higher.
This one.
Yeah. So that
Yeah.
tells us that how much after you buy it and you sell it and you create the note and you exit out on the sell of the first note, you're going to have $2,476 in cash. Okay. In the cash. Plus you're going to get a second lien for $46,960. Right. See that over there in the green box to the right? Yeah, right there. So let me ask you a question, Darren.
Yes.
How many deals can you do if you make $2,400 every time you do the deal and you get a $46,000 second lien before you run out of money?
Run out of money? Oh,
Yeah, how many of those can
infinite.
you do before you run out of money?
Just time. That's it. Time and effort.
Exactly.
And
Okay.
and what's the on the 43,000? If you go up, what's the or 46,000? What's your monthly payment on? What's the cash flow on that?
403.
403, right there.
Yeah, so 403. There you go. Yeah. So how many
So
403s
let's
you
talk
need?
about this for a second, okay? Because you're going to generate cash now, 2476. You're going to generate cash flow for 403, right? You're going to get cash later, and we'll talk about that in the projection in a second. And you know what? If this borrower defaults 3 years down the road, you don't have any cost basis in it. It's been shift over to the first lien holder, but they got a good deal on it, right? Because let's scroll up again. Let's look at this. I want you guys to understand why this model works. Because the first lien, this house was worth 257. Okay, I'm making that assumption. The first lien value is $185,000. Highlight that real quick for me, Darren. On
Sure.
there. That's what we wrote it for. We sold it for a discount for 162. So the buyer. So the buyer is in it for 162. It was worth 185. So their yield's going to be nice. It's going to be over 10%, probably 11 or 12. Actually, it tells you right there that it says 11.72%. Investors getting a really good deal. But guess what? If that borrower defaults and you're in the first lien position, this goes back to being a note holder, note buyer. Let me ask you a question, Darren. If you own this, if you were the bank on this deal and you owned you paid $162,000 for a $185,000 note, and the property is worth 257. How comfortable are you in getting your capital investment back in the event that buyer defaults?
To basically resell it on the open market, very comfortable.
Pretty comfortable, right? So
Yeah.
if that was, if instead of it being 162, it was 205, you'd have a lot less comfort in that,
Yeah,
right? That's why we write a first lien at 72%. It allows our known investor to go in with a lower investment of value. It makes the note more desirable, gets us the premium pricing. Okay. It's all levers back and forth. That's why we do it. So don't force the model. It's done that way. If the deal doesn't work, go do a different strategy or find another property. Okay.
Mhm.
This deal works. Not all deals fit the model. So let's go back down to that pink area again real quick. So
Sure.
what this says here, if it's positive, great, it is 2,400. We want to see a minimum net cash and second lien value of greater than 25,000. This is 49,000. Good. And we want a minimum $350 a day profit. What does that mean? Well, it means if you're going to compare this to some other strategy, like a fix and flip, for example, and you're going to fix it and flip it, and you divide that out by the number of days and how much you made, you can sort of compare apples to apples. I will tell you this, I've been doing this a long time, and I've ran this analysis numerous times. I cannot probably count on one hand the number of times my profit per day was greater on a fix and flip than it was on an owner finance deal because of velocity, right?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, go back to the top for me real quick. You got
77
77
days.
days in there. Okay. That's the default. That's what you're thinking. Look, you can do this deal in as little as 28 days, right? You're not
Mhm.
doing anything to the house,
Well,
right?
well, that's the other thing, Nick, right now, because the urgency of closing and getting it, because you got all this competition. As competition slows down on the buy side, maybe you got a little extra time. You might find that buyer. You can close this thing in 2 weeks.
Yeah, guys.
Great.
So so here's what I want you to do now. So let's go back. So we have a 49,000. We have a $46,960 note at 9.75%. So go to the very top. Let's go to the note calculator. Okay. Go to the note amortization calculator right there. Click on that.
Yeah.
And we're going to put in 46,000. It should maybe scoot a little bit more to your left. Yeah, it's in there somewhere. Maybe to your right. It's hiding in there. Keep going. It's there. It is.
There it is. Okay.
So it was $46,900, right? I think that's the number. So go in. Let's look at the calculator. 46,900. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
46,900. That's the face value of the note. Guys, pay attention because this is where it gets bananas. Okay. Now go and calculate the payment. It should be pretty close. Remember, that's a forecast. 402. What was, I'm just curious. Go back to your model. How close are we to 403? How much did we say the payment was?
It was 403.
Perfect.
Yeah,
So
403.
it's close enough.
Yeah.
You know, it does some rounding. Okay, so go back to your note calculator. So what does this mean? Okay, it means you're going to get $402 a month every month until the buyer either sells it, pays it off, or refinances. Okay, so look down in the bottom left of your screen. If this mortgage gets paid off in full for the term of it, how much is it worth?
$145,000.
$145,000, not $46,000. Okay, guys,
Because of
it's
this.
three times.
Yep.
It's three times the
then-
value.
Yeah. So now go to 10-year projection, because majority of our seller finance buyers can, we look at it as at 120 months. Because
So
that's
let's
kind
just
of
show
where
it
they're
here
at.
and then we'll go back to the thing. So
Yeah, this is
think
great.
about this for a second. So what we're saying here is we wrote a $46,900 note. We get $402 a month in payments, 403. So what's 403 times 120? Anybody?
It is 48,360.
So we're gonna collect $48,000 over the next 10 years, which is more than the loan than the net, and they still owe me $42,000.
So in 10 years, you get a call, Darren, and the servicer sends you a letter saying that's getting paid off, and you're going to get a payoff for 42,000. Actually, after you just got paid 48,000 to do it. It's not horrible.
Not a horrible deal. So let's go back to the spreadsheet real quick, okay? And then we'll
Okay.
wrap this up. So what this says, if you look at the bottom of the spreadsheet and you look at the 10-year projection, which is down there in the pink, okay?
Yeah.
Scroll down just a little bit. It tells you the summary of the deal, the forecasted summary, the 10-year payout. Cash now in 10 years is still 2476. 10-year cash flow, well, you take 403 times 120, there's your $48,000, okay?
Mhm.
10-year future note value, what does that mean? Well, that's the 43,000, which is the remaining unpaid balance. Because who they're going to call? They're going to call the bank. Who's the bank? You're the bank, right? They're going to say, Mr. Bank, what's the payoff? You say $43,000. So that means when that happens in 10 years in the future, you're going to get another check for $43,000. So sum of all three of those, cash now, cash flow, cash later, is $94,000. How much cash did you invest in this deal, Darren?
0.
And you're gonna get potentially $94,000. What's your return on your investment for that? Just curious. I don't have my
I,
calculator
I
out.
believe you call it infinite.
Call it infinite. You cannot dispute that return. Now, here's what I will say, because there's two sides to everything, right? Could you make more than $403 a month doing a different strategy? Absolutely, yes. You might make 5 or 550 on it. The question is, do you want to have $550,000 a month cash flow and have risk because you have underlying mortgage? Or would you rather have less money, no debt, no liability, no risk, no leverage for a little bit less? That's the question. And it's a personal question, right?
And no phone calls and no problems. Like
Right.
Darren,
Yeah.
I have a deal literally right now that's being paid off to me. It's 6 years into the deal, whatever. And so the last time I spoke to, well, I've never spoken to the borrower, put it that way. My sales agent did, was when I bought it, created it. 6 years later, I'm getting a letter from the servicer saying you're going to get, I don't know what it is, 50 some $1,000 on the payoff, and I was making the cash flow. I tried to renegotiate just because I was wondering what they were doing. That was the only reason why I was talking to him, because I was like, "Are you sure you want to refinance? Because I think I can beat it, because I can." But anyway, long story short, so when you have no calls and no expense of managing it, how many more deals would you be able to do like this? That's kind of what Nick and I talk. We'll just do more deals, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. So that's why we talk about doing the 4 things: find it, analyze it. This is analyzing it right here. Fund it,
Mm-hmm.
and then find the buyer. Okay. And then get out of the way. Let the transaction management team do the rest. Let the note sale of it get handled accordingly, and just go do another deal. Right. Because the less time you spend on all that other crap that doesn't make you money, just go do more deals. Look, if you can do if you can just save the time out of all the deals you do to allow you to do one more deal a year that looks just like this, why would you want to screw around doing any of that other crap? I mean, seriously,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't. You could, nothing wrong with doing it. It's just, it's not the best and highest use of your time. So guys, Darren, thanks for sharing this. I want to, before we let Darren go and we leave this model, does anybody have any questions specifically on this before we go to Gilbert? Going once, going twice.
I have
All
a
right.
couple questions, Nick.
Yeah. Oh,
Just-
yeah.
just
I
real
didn't
quick.
ask you. Go ahead.
So, one of with what we're being taught here, one of my biggest hangups is how distressed can a property be for you to resell it, owner financing, and do no work? What's that
It doesn't matter.
point?
It doesn't
Really?
matter because it's all based on value. Okay. On the as is value of that property relative to what investors are going to pay. Because here's the thing. Now, does that mean an investor may not like it as much as something that's a little bit better quality? Maybe, but I'll tell you this right now. Here's how I look at it, and I think a lot of people do this as well. I would rather be in a note buyer for this deal with this condition of the house at this price point than having it be a $300,000 house that's been rehabbed and move everything up. Because what's going to happen is somebody's going to go into that house and they're going to do some other updates, right? And let's just say they add value and they increase the value by $30,000. Okay.
Mhm.
So now the house is worth $300,000 6 months or a year from now. What's my cost basis? What am I into it for? I'm still scroll down a little bit or up,
Yeah.
whatever direction that is. My note value is 162. That's what I paid for, right? That's my cash out. Scroll down just a little bit where
Oh,
the note buyer stuff
yeah.
is right here, 162. Okay. If the value, if the borrower increases the value, is that a good thing or a bad thing for me as a note buyer?
That's great.
It's a great thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your risk goes down. So
That's
how
why I
many?
don't like
So
the
I can't tell
rehab.
you. Yeah, that's why I can't tell you how many times I've sold a house as is. 6 months later, I drive by. They got a whole new landscaping package. They turned the 3-bedroom 1 bath into a 3-bedroom 2 bath, or a 4-2. I'm sorry. They've got shingles on tile on the roof rather than shingles. They've got a guest house in the back, and all of a sudden your
Added a
investment to
pool.
value just they added a pool. You know, they've got RV parking, and they've got 2 families living in there paying the bills. Like, it's just because it's
Doesn't
theirs.
matter.
They're not going to do that to a rental. The people we're selling to have been told they're going to be a tenant their entire lives. Now all of a sudden they're homeowners, and they're going to go put all their sweat equity and all this. So I think what Nick was getting at, and we talk about this a lot, kind of the distressed ones are sometimes better because they're going to go put you might take a little less down, but then so they can go put their sweat equity and time into the property to add more value.
But if it's
to it,
if it's really if it's really distressed, Eric, how do you get the maximum value of it? You know, you're buying it for 100. How do you sell it for 180 if it's
Well, you
really
have to
distressed?
discount it, but you got to remember you're buying it better.
you're buying it better
You're gonna be
too, so
buying
you're
it better.
offsetting it. Yeah.
So
Yep.
scroll up to
So
the top.
so when the wholesaler's saying, you know, it's 100,000,
Yep.
you know, but it's worth you know, ARV is, you know,
Well,
225. How do you
Yep.
sell it for,
So
you know,
so
180 all beat up?
let's and Nick, let me comment on this, and then you comment, because I haven't.
Are you sitting
okay.
in
So
the
that
closet?
one.
Are you in the
that
closet right
100.
now? Are you in
No,
a closet?
you know,
I can't see you.
I'm on fall break with my kids. I got the ocean in the background. I mean, waving at everybody out there. Anyway,
I'm just
so
curious.
no, I am. Does it sound like I'm in a closet?
No,
Or
but
is it
look, you're
just
dark.
the view?
You're really dark.
Yeah, I
couldn't see
know.
you.
It sucks. Anyway, my point is, so the $100,000 property, to get it to the 225, well, so that might be a $50,000 rehab to get to that number that a traditional rehabber will do, right?
Yeah. Okay.
Well, you're
right.
only going to give them 25% on that discount. So maybe it's 225, and you still do sell it at 180, but that sweat equity and buyer might only put 20,000 into it, and the rest is labor, because the majority of our costs in a rehab is labor, not material and time and all this. So now you get to pass on that 225 house to them for 180, and they're like, or
Mhm.
even 175 that you bought for
Mhm.
100. I mean, that's still that's a good deal for them, because when they're finished up, they're gonna have a ton of equity. You know, so
All right, Eric,
Nick,
but let
why
me
don't
challenge
you
you on
comment
that,
on that?
though. Let me just
Okay.
challenge you and I know, you know, so this model on the screen has almost $100,000 spread, right? If you go to
Yeah.
$80,000 spread, you're going to be paying a lot out here. There's going to be $15,000 in the negative.
Oh, let's just change it. Just change it. Let's
You
do
want to
it
do
in the
that?
model. Let's
Fine.
just show this, because this is
So
important.
this is we said 80,000. This is what, 240?
Uh-huh. Okay.
Okay.
And how much is the rehab? What's the value of the rehab?
Well, we're not going to do the rehab.
I understand that, but
Oh,
you still
okay.
need to know what it's going to cost. You
Okay.
still got to know what the rehab is, because how
So
are you going to
let-
how are you going to
let's
make
say-
the offer to the seller?
All right. So let's say it's 25,000.
Well, they're looking at but the seller's looking at, or the buyer's looking at, the 355.
Well, what I'm getting to is what we're going to
after
offer.
repair
right?
value. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you think the retail value is? 260? Let's use 260.
No, I said 240.
All
Like
right,
an
so
$80,000
240.
spread. Yeah.
240. So 240. Who in the group's negotiating right now direct to seller? Are you offering them 80
Yeah.
cents on the dollar less repairs?
Nope.
Hell no. What do you throw some numbers out? What are people offering direct to seller now? What's the MAO less repairs? Maximum allow offer less repairs. 70%?
It's not 80 anymore. It's not 80 anymore. There's too much
Look, I'm
inventory
gonna
out
give you
there.
the benefit of the doubt at 75. which is too high.
Okay.
The 240 times 0.75 is 180. How much are the repairs to get it up to the 250 value? 240? Is it only 25? You don't put it in there. We're not doing
Yeah,
that.
okay,
But
yeah.
let's call it 25. So you're
Mhm.
offering them 155.
155. Yeah.
That's at 75%. So why are you paying 160?
Okay,
So go down.
See where
Go
I'm
down.
see where I'm going with this?
go down.
You have to look at both sides of it because you
Yeah. So now
can't.
you're at a negative 76. So go up and put 155 in there real quick,
Yeah,
just to
where's
see the difference. And
Okay.
then, and just so you see.
Okay. Let's talk.
Okay.
So now
Still,
you're
now
It's
you're,
negative
manageable.
2,000.
It's manageable.
yeah,
But
but you're
here's
net,
what-
you're negative 400 to make $363 a month for a $42,000 second lien. Some people might do that.
I
Well,
would.
guess what? You can also go get a little bit more down payment. Let's say you're
Yep.
able to get 20. Now maybe you get 28 for it now. You know, these are all forecasting. I wouldn't change it on here, but you can see the impact of what you're doing and how it's going to affect. Let's go back and let's say you only get 20. I want to show you one other thing here. Okay. I want to show you the negative side of it. So now
You're
let's
still
say
getting
that-
your money back in 8 months.
so now you're negative
you know?
73. So go down.
Mhm.
So let's go down to
Down.
the bottom in the little
Mhm.
light green box, optional exit, forecasting only. What does it say there? If negative, see optional exit, see where your negative 73 is in that first pink box?
Yeah.
Okay. It says, what does it say there? If negative,
Negative
see
C optional exit, which is here.
okay? Here's optional exit. And it says, if net cash is negative, then second lien value must be greater than 3x. Well, it's 6x. Okay. Because you're getting a $43,000 value and you're only putting 73 in it. If you used what it says here, go to that up where it says the orange box is right above it. It says if you're negative, if it's negative equals your ROI on how many months it's going to take to get your money back. So it says, hey, I can invest 70. Is it whoever invests in anything, crypto, the market, CDs, I don't really care. If you can get 65% return on your money by investing 70, is 65% a good return? I don't know. Okay. Because you can take $7,300 and get a 66% return on your money, even in a negative situation, because negative doesn't mean you lose. All negative means is that you're going to invest into getting the return. And in this situation, you're getting a 66% return. But that's not really accurate because that's the money you get until you get your money back. When you get your money back, what are you left with?
Infinite.
342 payments of cash flow because the note's for 360. You're only going to have to get 18 months of it back. Okay. So let's just say, let's go to the third scenario. Let's just say, dude, this is a great deal, but I don't have $7,300. Okay, well, maybe partner with somebody, do something, but you can also take that second note and we can sell a partial of it. Okay. So,
But Nick, what if you offer the seller an extra 10 grand and let them carry that too? There's all sorts of ways.
there's so many ways that
give
it's
them
in the-
cash now,
that's
cash
in the
flow, cash
group,
later.
that's in the
Same
group
thing.
side of it, right?
Yeah.
But you can
Okay.
do this
Yeah, no,
too.
you answered my question.
I mean, you can go, look, you got a long way to go before this is not a deal. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
I mean, let's just do one more thing and I want to get on Gilbert real quick. Go back up to the
Okay.
top. Let's go
Yeah.
back to the top.
Hey,
Let's
real
change
quick,
the
we
sale
have
price.
time. We have time because Gilbert, he had to go back to work, so he can't share
well,
anyway.
That's hopefully Gilbert won't be working that job come January. He'll just be doing this. All right. So let's just go this. I want to make one more adjustment on. Let's just say that you find out that the market's changed and now you can only get 220. Let's check
Good.
220.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just check 220. Our forecast is up. Let's go to the bottom again. Let's see what happens here.
19,000.
Okay. Now you're at 19. Now you're at -2. Okay. Now you're at 53 months. And now your
Mhm.
return is 22.28. If you had bought that with cash, and this is the worst thing. I mean, I would not invest $19,000 for a $42,000 note. There's better
Mhm.
investments. But
Right.
if that's the worst thing that would happen, which would be 1 out of 100 deals, it's still not that horrible. It's still not horrible. It's
Mhm.
not the best and highest use of your money. I like
Yeah.
that to be at least 3, but you know what? It isn't. If sometimes that's the way it happens, it happens. But you know, you can
It's still, it's still
get
over
pretty
a
close to
20, it's
neutral.
still over a 20%, it's still over a 20% cash on cash return anyway. So it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
It's
But,
not
but, at
great,
the end-
but
but go back to the top for a second and we're going to wrap this up. Look how much difference we're at now between 155 and 220 and 20 versus what we started. You'd have to really mess up you have to really mess it up. You see what
But
I'm
then,
saying?
but then Nick, in your formula, the minimum OFV is 221, and
Yeah.
we're just there, and we're still at
Well,
a
go change it to
bad
222.
negative.
Let's see what happens. Get it above
Okay.
that number. Change it to 222. Now let's go to the bottom and see how close it.
It's not
close it
much. 18.
Keep going. Go down a little more. Goes
Okay.
to 2.3 and 24%. You're still off. You know, that's the
Mhm.
minimum value that we want. You know, could we
Yeah.
adjust that out a little bit? Maybe. But remember, this is a forecast, right?
Yeah.
Another
Okay.
thing you got to keep in
Yeah.
mind is you're not taking into consideration if you change that to a 10% down and you change it to 22,200, that's going to change it too, because the minimum owner finance value is based on a 10% down payment. So,
Right.
yep.
see what I'm saying? So
Mhm.
remember, this is a forecast.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
because there's other things that are going to happen in this model that could work to your favor. Okay. Let's just talk to them real quick
Yep.
because we're only doing one. What if you sell this in 42 days instead of 75?
It helps
What
on your
is that?
interest.
Well, put it in there and see what happens to your bottom line.
Right.
Right. Just change that. Okay.
Oops.
I didn't go much.
Hold on. 30/22. So
Okay,
46.
46 days. Now what does it do?
About
Go back
1,000.
down.
16.
So look at what did it change by
Oh.
$3,000? Now we went to 2.58. Okay, getting better. Let's go
Yep.
to the top. Let's keep going. There's some other variables here. What if we didn't have to pay 4% sales commission and we were able to do it for 2%? We had somebody listed and we sold it. What does that do?
$5,000.
Another $5,000. Now you're at 3.54. See what I'm
Yep.
saying? So you have
Yep.
variables and factors that goes in this equation, right?
Okay.
Maybe you
Yep.
get more money down. Remember, we just want to try to put ourselves in the best position to succeed. And that's why we want you to default.
And what
with
if you get,
12,500.
25,000 down? Put that in there.
Yeah.
'Cause that's a nice house. It's a move-in ready. That'll probably fix it pretty close.
Mm.
Yeah, you're now almost $7,000 and you have a nice big second, a nice cash flow. Yep. Okay. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a nice house too.
Great.
Hey,
Asset.
all right. So remember,
Great.
this is a forecasting tool. So you want to make sure that it forecasts out because the forecasting is very conservative. Okay. Let's scroll down. One more thing that might change. Okay. It's at 72 and 88%. But once that buyer goes to underwriting, it may change to 75 and 90. It may. I don't know. I don't know how strong the borrower is.
Mhm.
What if this borrower comes in and they got a 750 credit score? Well, I mean, we're projecting that they don't, right?
Yeah.
But if they did, I just got one, 750. Guy's got a 750 credit score and he needs seller financing. My point is that these are the defaults and these are the worst case
Right.
scenario.
And you know why people do seller financing? It's not always because of the interest rate. It's just time and ease of doing it. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, put 90% on that.
Change it
to
to
see.
90 and 75.
Yeah,
Just saying. I don't want to mess with your
Positive.
model.
there you go. Now you're back. Yeah.
Just that little bit
And
of
you still got,
change.
yeah,
We might get there
Yeah.
because what we'll do is that if there's a lot of variables and factors, but you don't know that because you don't know what you're going to sell it for. You don't know what the down payment's going to be. You don't know what the borrower's credentials are going to be like. That's why we model it conservatively because what'll happen is that when you submit this deal and we get the buyer in there, that's why we write the first and the second interest rates and the terms the same. So it allows me to go change it to a 75% first if the buyer is strong enough and I can get an indicative bid once I
Yeah.
get that borrower and I get the value back, then I can turn it into an actual and then you update this model. That's what we do.
Great.
It's a little bit more work now than it was before, but you're actually going to be able to generate a better deal because you're going to be able to really tie it down directly to the specific borrower and the specific asset that you're doing. And that's it. So
Great.
use it conservatively as a forecasting tool to see if you're in the ballpark. Okay.
Mhm.
That's it. That's, so I hope that
Great.
that clears that up.
It does. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
All right,
Yeah,
guys. All
thanks,
right, so
Darren. Appreciate it.
thanks, Darren. All right, so let's answer any other questions and wrap this up. Is there any other? Go ahead and stop your share, Darren, if you don't mind.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think just real quick, we had a couple of questions. If you're already in the group, if you've already bought the digital product, are you grandfathered in? The answer is yes. To get into the other group. And just like you guys said, Nick and I are still going to be doing our office hours live. It's going to be a little bit different, a little bit more condensed. And then we want to focus on the other group with a little bit deeper into some of what's going on in the market and the stuff that we're working on. So it's good. Let's see. I think that's all we have for today. Gilbert, we could have jumped into his link, but I don't have it. But
I want to do
appreciate
it
you
with him
guys.
on we'll do it on the next one.
Yeah.
Do it because
Yeah.
just like we did with Darren, it's really important to be able to, because you guys got to feel comfortable with the model. And Darren had done the model, but he goes, well, what about this? What about that? And those are all valid points. And it just depends. There's so many moving parts of this that there's a lot of subjectivity in it. That's why we try to model it into the least common denominator so that you can, make good deals. We could probably be a little bit more aggressive than we are, but I really want to make sure that you guys are making good investments. And, at the end of the day, if you have the ability to get out of it, then that's good too. So
Well,
that's all I got.
I just want to just add to it. And as the market changes, as there's a little bit more risk, as there's corrections, the opportunities to actually do some really, really great acquisitions and dispose of these with seller financing, with the cash flow that's out there, it's going to just be, people are freaking out right now. Like literally, on a side note, I got a call from one of my realtor buddies. She called me and has a house here, and then that house needs to go to another house, and then she had two more houses, and she's freaking out about her $150,000 in commission, because these are all high $800,000-900,000 properties to $1 million, and she's worried about her commission, and she just doesn't know how to structure the deals. That's not what they teach you as a realtor. That's why realtors are great partners in this. Fix and flippers and wholesalers are great partners in this. Landlords are great partners in this. Property managers are great partners in this, because they don't understand what we're talking about here and how to structure these deals and make it a win-win. So anyway, I think that's it for today, you guys. Please, we can't wait to see you guys. This is our last call for this month, unless I get wild hair and we want to do it. And then we'll get back on first week in November for Office Hours Live. If you ever have any information, any questions, whatever, please put it in the private Facebook group. There's a private Facebook group. Nick and I gather all that information, whatever case studies or the questions that people have, and then we bring it up in our Office Hours Live. And then obviously there's opportunity to join our Creative Dealmaker Academy with the Creative Dealmaker training link here, and we're looking to make it happen. So thanks a lot. You guys have a good rest of your week, and we'll chat with you later.
All right, guys, have a good one. Take care.
All right. Bye.